But so as mentioned, this is the presentation for CIEE Buenos Aires for your study abroad program for high school. So again, my name is Andres Piacentino. Welcome. I have been with CIEE for about 3-4 years. I'm the director for CIEE in Buenos Aires. And as you can see, Buenos Aires is located right in the center of Argentina, right at the tip of South America. So if you haven't been there, hopefully you can make it and you see how wonderful of a city it is. So the top reasons to choose Buenos Aires as a study abroad program. Buenos Aires is above all a very cosmopolitan city. As I just mentioned, it's located in the tip of South America. It's unusual to find such I could say European looking city so far in South America, but it has very rich architectural heritage, mostly from French influences, as you see here in the picture. But then there's also a combination with very modern influences as well. The cultural environment is very rich. There's literally hundreds of bookstores. There's about 300 theaters and there's about 20 national museums. So the city of Buenos Aires is very big. It's about 15 million people, depending on how you count on it. It has very different neighborhoods. It has a number of urban green parks, which are fun to visit and just to hang out with a mild, somewhat mild weather year-round. In addition to that, there's a very indulgent local food scene with the Spanish and Italian influences coming from the latest immigrations at the beginning of the last century. So CIEE Buenos Aires is located in a recently renovated French Petit Hotel, as you can see here in the picture. Actually, a beautiful, beautiful building, very recently renovated right before the COVID outbreak, and it's located in the Recoleta neighborhood, a very upscale area, and very well connected with public transportation to go to the rest of the city. Recoleta, Palermo, and Belgrano neighborhoods offer, as I was just describing, stunning architecture, multiple parks and plazas, and overall a very rich cultural environment. Now, specifically for high school study abroad programs, CIEE offers in-house courses with experienced teachers coming from very different programs, and also program coordinators and team leaders that join the team here to support the overall program. All right, so what's in a summer abroad program? Well, overall, there's an academic portion, which in a typical week includes about 15 hours of interactive language class. There's community conversations. There's a daily cultural menu, I could say, of activities and excursions. As you can see in a moment when I talk specifically about the program, the activities and the curriculum is very tightly connected to actually show in real life what is taught inside of the classroom. So there's daily cultural activities. There's also free time to explore and have fun. And overall, there's the inclusion of the homestay portion, which is a very critical aspect of the program. Students get to stay in a homestay here in the city, very closely located to the CIEE center that includes breakfast and dinner. So why you will love a study abroad program with for Spanish language? But well, first of all, because the overall group is divided in smaller groups placed by levels. So the Spanish language learning happens with every level needed for the students. Everything is taught with local teachers and with very well coordinated lesson plans that are not only well coordinated globally and managed centrally from headquarters. So this is to make sure that every site has a very similar plan. But most importantly, as I was just mentioning before, the actual academic curriculum is very tightly coordinated with the daily cultural activities, weekly excursions, and then with a trip outside of the city. So everything that is taught in the classroom, then it has a real life experienced component for students to learn in an actual setting what has been taught in the classroom. And then overall, this is another important element to mention is a language pledge. That is something that we require that all students sign and really abide to. And so we make sure that during the program, everything happens in Spanish. You know, every interaction is in Spanish. So the Spanish language, it acts really as an immersion to the overall culture of the city. Right. So in terms of study tours and cultural activities, this is a crucial part of the program. Yes, there is a very strict academic curriculum that takes place within the classroom, but then there's a study tour that also takes place outside of the classroom and outside of the city. Previous programs for CIEE in Buenos Aires have had students visit the Iguazu Falls, the Mendoza Mountains, the Cordoba heritage sites, and the national parks in Bariloche. Buenos Aires is a big city and is placed in a very, very big country with very different climates and very different locations and very different geographical settings. So there's always fresh opportunities for students to visit actually the rainforest in the Iguazu Falls, or just beautiful national parks in the south, or just very different locations one from the other. So that happens once within the program. In addition to that, with more frequency are the cultural visits that take place actually daily. There's always something going on in the afternoon after the classrooms. And in Buenos Aires, there's a lot of activities and a lot of cultural locations and urban icons for the city. And so students in the past have visited the Teatro Colón, which is a world-renowned theater, have visited the Casa Rosada, which is the president's office, and have visited the Congreso, which is where the Senate and the deputies debate the laws. And there's also Plaza de Mayo, which is a historical site to Buenos Aires. Palacio Baroli is a very beautiful building in terms of architecture. And then there's classes for how to cook empanadas, or the history of mate, or history of tango. There's a day at an estancia just to see how the gauchos used to live. And there's also a visit to the Tigre Delta, which is the actual delta that is located right above Buenos Aires. For those of you who are not familiar with the geography of Buenos Aires, if you go just to Google Maps, you'll see that right above the city, there's an enormous area that is actually the delta of two rivers confluencing and then opening up to the river plate right above Buenos Aires. All right, so the homestay is another critical component of the program, as we just mentioned. And we know that families come in all sizes and shapes, so we make sure and we make our best effort to match the preferences of students with the homestay setting in terms of presence of kids and presence of pets and location of the homestay in relation to the program. So that is another crucial aspect that takes place. In these homestays, there's a room provided for the students with 2 meals a day. In general, these meals are breakfast and dinner because lunch takes place within the program. It's also a setting to hang out, in the evenings and in the weekend, just to further the immersion to the local culture. So we talked about cultural visits, we talked about the homestay, we talked about the academic aspect of the program, we talked about the CIE Center and the overall aspects of the city. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a very quick and very top-line overview of the program. I want to actually open this up to questions and answers. but two reminders, the two of them are critical and are important. So make sure you listen correctly. Number one, make sure you finish your applications by December 1st for a chance to win a free flight. You know that this is a great promotion, so make sure that you can finish your application on time. And then number two, in case you didn't know until now, alumni can save you about $200 if you start with application through their referral link. So if you know of any alumni of the program, make sure to add them to the link and you will get a $200 rebate to the program, okay? All right, so that is the overall top line of the program. I will stop sharing my screen here and I will come up on screen. I want to open up now for questions and answers. As I close my screen, I see here one question from Ella. Does the program accommodate advanced Spanish students so they can get closer to fluency? And the answer is yes. We make sure that that we cater to the different levels of Spanish of the different students. We know that we have in the past have had heritage seekers, and then we have students who are not as familiar or as skilled with the local language. So we make sure that every student can have a pace tailored to their actual needs. Right? If you need additional clarification or more information about that, Ella, just open up your mic and we can talk further about it. All right, second question here in the screen comes from Sumin. Do you know the study tour of the upcoming summer? How much free time do students receive daily? All right, so those are two separate questions. Number one, the study tour for the upcoming summer. As you might expect, things are changing very fast and very frequently regarding COVID measures. But if I should commit today to a study tour, which again is not 100% set in stone, I'll say that the program will go to the Iguazu Falls. The Iguazu Falls is one of the world's nature wonders, and it's a beautiful place. It's very much fun to go and visit. It's actually awe-inspiring. Once you go there, you know, it's something like you've never seen before. Just your first look at the falls, you know, it's something that that again is really unbelievable. And then there's another day to visit a location close to the falls, and overall it's a great trip that we've done in the past. Yes. As far as free time for students, well, the program's overall structure is as follows. In the morning, students come to the center and they have the academic portion of the program with the local teachers and speakers and visitors. Then there's a portion of a time that is somewhat free to students because there's the lunch taking place in restaurants and eating locations very close to the center. And after that, the afternoon activities take place, the co-curricular activities take place. So that is also another mixed location. It's not fully free, but it's outside of the classroom, and there's a ton of visits to historic sites and iconic areas of the city and plazas and just the different neighborhoods. So that really complements the learning from the program. Are there any changes to the program due to COVID? A question coming from Blair. The changes taking place for COVID are being prepared and are being implemented every day. You know, since we had to cut 2 years ago our programs very abruptly, we started implementing, setting up and implementing measures that were right for each time, you know, in terms of the development of the pandemic. And so now we're in a very different location, or a very different situation in timing compared to how the pandemic started. And so each measure is in line with where the pandemic has evolved in each of the cities. And so here, the measures that we will have in place at the time of the program will be right in line with how the pandemic has been developing until next summer. So yes, you can make sure that CIEE takes health, safety, and security very seriously. And there's measures to make sure that students and the staff and everybody involved in the program have the highest standards of safety and health. Another question from Zooming: how many study tours do students go to? And so there's one study tour on average per summer. So there's one study tour, just one, because it's a weekend trip outside of the city, and it's a very cumbersome element of the program to plan. So there's one tour outside of the city. There's a multi-day tour, and then in addition to that, there's the cultural activities that take place every day, and then there's day excursions. You know, not overnight, but day excursions, which might include a day at an estancia, which is a farm or a working location where you can see how the gauchos, which are the people who would work in the farms in the previous centuries, live. You know, there's horses and there's carriages and there's eating of asado, which is a feast of grilled meats. So all that takes place in an estancia. And then weather permitting and looking at schedules, there's also the possibility to go to the Tigre Delta, which is the area of the city in the northern outskirts, which includes a boat ride through the islands and just getting to know the area there. So it's a fun activity, and it's an activity outside of the city. All right. Another question here from Blair. How are host families paired with students? All right. So what we, in the way that the organization pairs up students with families is just making sure that we have a survey for each of the students with their preferences in terms of presence of small children in the family, and presence of pets, and smoking or non-smoking families, and making sure that special diets are also taken into consideration, and distance from the center, and overall any special needs that is required for each of the students. So once we receive the surveys for the homestays, then that's when we pair up those special needs with our database, and we select the pairing of each student to their families. Hopefully that answered your question, Blair. Another question here from Vanessa: do students learn about other topics besides Spanish during the academic classes? Well, Vanessa, so Spanish, teaching a foreign language includes talking about a lot of different themes. So you can only, it's not the best idea to just teach the syntaxes and the words, but the actual learning happens in the settings of learning about different themes. These themes can be geography, literature, popular culture, historic facts, or just any topic relevant to the language. And so, yes, not only the vocabulary and the words and verb tenses and actual syntaxis is taught, but also learning of any topic that is relevant to the Spanish culture, and for us specifically for the culture of Argentina. So overall, it's a language and culture program. And then, so hopefully that answered your question, Vanessa. Your other question here, it says, are there any other scholarships or economic opportunities? You know, all of the scholarships are found on the website. If hopefully you can visit that. I don't have all the actual grants and opportunities as far as scholarships for the program, but in addition to the ones that I mentioned before, for the alumni and for the plane ticket, you know, there's the ones located in the website. So make sure to visit that to clear any additional questions you may have regarding that topic. All right. One more question here from Sumin. Being repetitive for how long, how many hours on average of free time do people receive? Oh, okay. Number of hours daily. So I'll say, you know, count about from the structure of the program that I just mentioned, you know, the morning being academic and the afternoon being co-curricular activities. There's, say, 2 hours for the noon, an hour for the noon portion. And let's, you know, let's make an example. Let's count about half of the time for the co-curricular activity in the afternoon. So let's say of those 3-4 hours, another 2 hours are relatively free. And then once the activity finishes, say at 5 o'clock, you know, there's the evening, you know, from 5 till nighttime for students who have some free time and interact with themselves, with friends or with the family. Actually, interaction with the family is the most recommended aspect, because families are eager to receive students and are welcoming them into their families, and so they're overall very glad to interact and to share their culture. Hopefully that zooming answered your question. So overall, if I have to put a number, I'll say 1 + 2, 3 plus other 3, about 6 hours. Yes, so I knew that Karen will jump in because she's representing headquarters here. So she's here adding a link in the chat box with the scholarships, which are actually very, very generous. Yes, thank you, Karen, for assisting right there. All right, so the questions are coming through the chat. If anybody wants to open your mic and just ask a questions right away, I'm here to help you out. Or just feel free to add it to the chat box.
Yeah, and since I work in the curriculum, I can answer the question about the topics pretty specifically. So each week there's a different theme. And so you're going to work on a project throughout that week. And so maybe 1 week is going to be on creativity. So you're going to learn about art and street art and music of Buenos Aires. And when you go out into the community, you're going to take pictures and put that in your projects. Other topics will be on history. If you're in level 3, you're going to learn about famous people. And as Andres mentioned, it's language and culture of Buenos Aires. So you're going to learn about the food and also cultural differences. You're going to learn about yourselves, your identity, what's important to you, and how is that different in other cultures. There's some little fun cultural activities that you're going to do in class to learn about the different intercultural differences and things that are important to people, right? Dealing with how close do you stand to somebody when you're speaking? How important is it to be punctual and things like that? So there's a lot of fun topics out there. And yes, very important, the college credit. So when you do your application, there's going to be an option to receive college credits. So that is optional. It's up to you, but it's a great deal. You pay $150, and that is the fee that we have to pay the school of record, which is Tulane University, for the official transcript. So if you choose that in your application, then that means that when you complete the course successfully, Tulane University is going to send you an official academic transcript saying that you received 4 college credits for the Spanish course that's equivalent in Tulane. And then if you bring that to other colleges, that really depends on your college. So you can call the registrar office and just say, hey, if I receive 4 college credits from Tulane, how does that work? Usually it's going to be transfer credits. So you get those 4 credits, but they don't really affect your GPA. Usually because it's a different college, so the grading system might be different. So you get 4 credits, and they're considered as transfer credits in your application. So in other words, it's Tulane, the ones that give you the college credit, but it's good for any college.
Yes, thank you, Karen, for all that information. It's very helpful and hopefully enriches what we are talking here about the program. Overall, we're excited to host the program one more time. We hosted before the pandemic, and then we had everything ready to host it for the next summer and the previous one. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to that for the reasons that everybody knows. But now we are really looking forward for next summer. Excited to have students again, and the entire team of just support group and the homestays and faculty and coordinators, team leaders. Everybody is really looking forward to another iteration of the program. This is a very exciting program overall, and we know that high school students really appreciate it. It's very enriching from a academic standpoint, but also from an experiential standpoint. And just being in a different culture, in a different country, we see tremendous growth on students that they experience in the way, or just thanks to the activities and having an independent experience by themselves. It's just a great program overall.
Yeah, I did study abroad when I was 17, and I can tell you that the friends I made there are still my friends today. You get to bond, you get to meet new people, new experiences. Homestay, you can also be in touch with them. It's all very exciting. There was a question about cost. So the program cost covers everything except the flight. If you need to get a new passport, or if you're required to do like a COVID test for traveling, but everything else covers it. So it covers the language classes, all the cultural activities, all the excursions, room and board. Is that correct, Andres?
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's everything's covered, and really students don't have to worry about much when they're here, obviously, apart from any pocket money that they may want to spend or have for themselves. But there's vouchers for the lunch, and so breakfast takes place at home. The vouchers take care of the lunch, and then the dinner is also included in the homestay. So there's always unforeseen needs, which we recommend students to have some money assigned to that. And then really it's I'll just say save a lot for ice cream, because ice cream is very good. So you want to have one every day. Yes. Yeah.
And the pizza here, it's pretty good, no? In Buenos Aires.
The what? Sorry, again?
The pizza also is good.
The pizza is great. A lot of
the empanadas.
Yes, a lot of Italian influence in the food of Argentina. So pastas and pizzas are great, rivaling the ones that served in Italy, I would say, as the ice creams, and as well as the ice creams. And then just croissants and pastries are very good too. There's actually a bakery in every corner. I'm just amazed by how a new one pops up every day, and there is one better than the other. So it's going to be difficult just to select the favorite one.
Yeah.
So yeah, great food.
Yeah, and Andres, somebody's asking about how cold is it there in June and July?
Great question. So as you might know, the seasons are reversed in the north and the south. So it's a summer program. For us, it's called a summer program as well, but it takes place in the winter of the southern hemisphere. So when the temperature in Buenos Aires year-round is actually, I would say, relatively mild. So we have yes, we have peaks of temperature high and low in the summer and winter, but then autumn and spring are great. For this program in particular, it takes place in June, July, August, and so that's the peak of the winter. And the winter is not as cold as you would expect it in most areas of the US. We might get a peak or 1 week or a few days in the high 30s. Otherwise, I say it's going to be high 40s or low 50s for the temperature. So yeah, in terms of sun.
Is there heating in the buildings?
Yes. So the temperature has extremes in winter and summer. So homes are fitted with air conditioning and heat. I know of other cities which the temperature is not as extreme in the summer and winter. So you may not have heating or air conditioning because that may happen in very seldom occasions. But here, every winter and every summer, you may have a peak of say 100 in the summer and about 30 in the winter. And so yeah, every home is fitted with heating. The CIEE building has central heating and central air conditioning throughout, so it's very comfortable temperature in there. Most of activities will have an outside component, going to a park or just going in public transportation or just in regular transportation or walking from one place to the other. It will require also to make sure that students and participants have a good jacket and a scarf and gloves if necessary, depending on how each person feels the cold. But it's not extreme cold. There's no snow, no ice storms. We may have some rain and some gray days, but there's also very, very sunny days in the winter, so it's not overall a gray winter, let's say. So Ella asked, no need for a real winter coat. So that's what we, it depends on what we call real winter coat. I'd say bring a winter coat. Now there's no need for those huge winter coats that I've seen, people use in the Northeast or in the northern states of the US. What's the public transportation system like? Is it easy to navigate? The public transportation system is complex in terms of there's a lot of public transportation overground and underground. Now it's very easy to navigate. So there's literally probably 100 lines of buses that crisscross the entire city. But people will tend to use one or two depending on where they are located or where they want to go. I don't see people using more than 2 or 3, maximum 4 lines, depending on the areas of the city that they want to go. In addition to that, there's the underground system, which in general there's going to be 1 or 2 of the 4 lines that may be used. So it's complex in terms of there's a lot of lines for public transportation above and below the ground, but it's fairly easy to navigate, I would say. So the public transportation also, the cost is the cost covered for them. The cost for some activities is covered because we might take participants all together from one location to the other, but on other activities, it's just public transportation not included. Now, public transportation is very affordable these days in Buenos Aires, just like actually most of other expenditures. If you are following the news, actually the Argentinian peso is very devalued to the US dollar. So students come with US dollars and those US dollars will go very fast. So actually let's see, the actual ticket for a bus trip from one area to the next is about 20 pesos, which is actually 10 cents of a dollar, the ticket. So yes, has a cost, but it's not significant. Yeah. Ella is asking another question. So in Madrid last summer, they gave us a metro card for the length of the stay. Is there not something similar to that in Buenos Aires? There's a card for buses. I have to give you a formal answer if that also includes the metro. I think it does. So overall, again, there might be some costs for transportation, but again, those costs are going to be minimal. As I mentioned before, a lot of those transports from one location to the other are included within the program because we want to make sure to take all the participants from one location to another all together. You know, it's somewhat cumbersome to take a group of 20, 25 students in public transportation from one area of the city to the next one. So most of those things are included. But I just mentioned it, you know, just for the weekends or just for trips with the family. You know, there's some public transportation that might happen for the students. Yes. All right. Happy to respond to questions. I've seen a lot of questions. Hopefully we covered other aspects of the program. You know, we talked about academic aspects and then homestay. You know, the co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities are really, really fun, really comprehensive. And since they happen every day, they cover a lot of things, you know, visiting parks, visiting historic sites, visiting plazas and just historic areas of the city, different neighborhoods, you know, iconic destinations for tourists or for just locals alike. So a lot to do in Buenos Aires. Anything else? All right, so Michael and Kaylee and Blair and Ella, Vanessa, I really appreciate you being here, your time, and just all your questions.
One more question, Andres.
I see the questions
Yeah.
here appearing from Ella. Thank you for that. So what time do people typically eat dinner? Is it super late like in Spain? Oh, yes. So yeah, that is a cultural shock as you get used to the city and the overall culture of Buenos Aires. We took that. I say we in Argentina. We took that cultural aspect, I'll say, from Spain. And dinner is late. Dinner is late. Don't be surprised if it happens about 8:30 or 9 p.m. And in some families, not within this program, because we actually ask families to, you know, have a maximum dinner time of 9 p.m. But in other families, when they are not hosting students, don't be surprised if dinner happens at 9:30 or 10. So everything is actually shifted an hour or two in the clock. You know, so people wake up probably an hour or two later, and then they have you know, lunch at 12:30 or 1 or 1:30, and then dinner will happen at 8, 8:30 or 9. So yeah, don't expect dinner to be at 5:30. And
So afternoon snack is important.
Exactly. You won't get hungry, because afternoon snack always takes place. And I just mentioned the bakeries and the croissants, and so you will make sure to have and everybody make sure to have a snack in the afternoon. But overall, with this being said, I know that families accommodate to the needs of each student. So students come to a house and there's a conversation about that. And if the students is one that really, they say, I am used to, dinner at, I don't know, 5:30 or 6 or something. So there's an accommodation for those things. It's not something to worry about. It's something to understand that is part of the culture. And most students get used to it, others don't, and that's totally perfect and totally fine. And so the family accommodates and flexes their schedule to the students. So this is not something to worry about. It's something to actually embrace, and learn how people live with a different lifestyle. And then if you are willing to accommodate to that, then that will be your schedule for a few weeks, and then you'll go back to your regular schedule. Otherwise, again, it's not something to be afraid of. You can continue with your own schedules, and the family is going to be the one that flexes and that changes their time frame to the students' needs. Yeah, and Ellie, it's great that you've been in Madrid last summer and that you can, compare two cities. Both cities are big, and there's actually a lot of similarities. Buenos Aires and Madrid are similar in many different ways. Yeah. Madrid, it's more organized, I'll say. You'll see more of the chaotic aspect of Latin America ingrained within every aspect of Buenos Aires. Great, yeah. Fortunately, you're excited to come to Buenos Aires. I'm sure it's going to be a great experience. We're excited to have you too. We're excited to resume with the programming of the high school course, and hopefully we can have a great cohort of students and a great experience again. Yes. All right, so any other questions? If that is the last one, we say goodbye, but we can obviously leave our thank you, Blair. We can leave our channels open. There's a Karen, there's the high school study abroad email, no, for students to ask any questions that they may have as a follow-up.
Yeah, let me do.
All right.
Yeah, I just put in the chat the email. If you have any questions, it'll go to the right person. And then also, if you have, let me write down here, if you have questions on the actual application process, we invite you to join in for Thursday. There's going to be a webinar just on application. And also, you can always contact us with specific questions.
Thank you, Karen. I couldn't have done this without you.
I'm here hoping that, one day I get to go to Buenos Aires.
We'll be waiting for you with our arms open. We're excited to receive visitors from headquarters and from different universities and from different, stakeholders for the program, and people from and other people just researching the program. So yeah, and we are excited because we will be resuming activities in that petit hotel that you were able to see in the pictures. It's actually a beautiful location that we have set up.
Yeah.
All right, so are we ready to close the session? We are saying our goodbyes here, but again, excited to launch the program again and to answer any questions that you may have as a follow-up, okay? Thank you for your time. Good evening. Bye, everybody.
Bueno, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.